When you think of British motoring icons, your mind probably jumps to the sleek curves of an Aston Martin, the raw grit of a Land Rover, or the roar of a McLaren. But if we wind the clock back to the 1900s, specifically the decade between 1900 and 1909, the automotive world was an absolute Wild West. Britain had just escaped the suffocating Red Flag Act, which legally required a human being to walk ahead of any motorized vehicle waving a red flag. With the speed limit finally lifted to a blistering 14 miles per hour, British engineers went absolutely mad. There were hundreds of tiny garages building vehicles out of wood, bicycle parts, and sheer willpower. Today, we're counting down the top 10 British cars of the 1900s, the revolutionary, eccentric, and beautiful machines that laid the foundation for global car culture. Buckle up, or don't, because seatbelts haven't been invented yet. Starting us off at number 10 is the 1900 Napier 16 HP. At the turn of the century, if you wanted an automobile, you usually bought a French or German engine. But Napier and Son changed the game. Driven by motoring pioneer SF Edge, a Napier 16 HP famously entered the 1,900,000-mile trial, a massive endurance run across Britain. Not only did it survive, but Napier later painted their racing cars a distinctive deep emerald hue to honor Ireland hosting the Gordon Bennett Cup. This single car is literally the reason the world-famous color British racing green exists today. It proved Britain could build a car that didn't just work, but could win. Next up, we head to Lowestoft for the 1901 Brooke 10 HP. J.W. Brooke and Company started out making industrial machinery before pivoting to cars. What makes the Brooke fascinating is its bizarre layout. It featured a 3-cylinder engine and a massive, completely exposed chain-drive system. It looked less like a luxury cruiser and more like a locomotive that had broken out of a factory. Despite its agricultural looks, it was praised for its robust reliability on Britain's unpaved, muddy backroads. At number 8, we have the birth of a legend, the 1903 Auto Carrier by Weller Brothers. You might know this company better by the two initials they adopted later, AC. Yes, the same AC that eventually gave the world the AC Cobra. Before they built fire-breathing V8 sports cars, they built this. It was a 3-wheeled delivery vehicle with a single-cylinder engine. It was an overnight sensation for British tradesmen and the post office. It didn't look glamorous, but it proved that cars weren't just toys for wealthy aristocrats. They were the future of business. Number 7 takes us to the 1904 Siddeley 6 HP, designed by John Davenport Siddeley and built using Wolseley components. While most early cars were loud, shaking monsters, the Siddeley 6 HP was praised for being incredibly sweet and easy to drive. It was light, had a simple single-cylinder engine, and offered stellar fuel economy for the day. It became one of the first cars targeted at owner-drivers who didn't want to hire a full-time mechanic just to go to the grocery store. At number 6 is a massive milestone, the 1904 Rover 8. Rover was already famous for inventing the modern safety bicycle, but in 1904, engineer Edmund Lewis designed their very first car. Instead of building a wooden frame like a literal horse carriage, Lewis gave the Rover 8 a revolutionary aluminum backbone chassis that enclosed the engine and gearbox. This single engineering choice made the car incredibly strong, rigid, and affordable. Selling for around 200 pounds, it was one of the world's very first successful, mass-produced lightweight cars. Cracking into the top 5, the 1905 Humber 8 to 10 HP. By the middle of the decade, the veteran look of the car was evolving into what we actually recognize as a car today. Humber was a powerhouse of early British manufacturing. This model moved away from basic single-cylinder engines to a smoother 4-cylinder design. It featured a modern steering wheel, proper leaf spring suspension, and a proper multi-speed gearbox. It was smooth, sophisticated, and proved that British manufacturing was catching up to and overtaking continental Europe. Number 4 on our list is perhaps the most ahead-of-its-time car ever built, the 1906 Lanchester 20 HP. George and Frederick Lanchester were absolute geniuses who flat-out refused to copy anyone else's designs. While other cars had engines sticking out the front, the Lanchester featured a mid-mounted engine positioned between the front seats for perfect weight distribution. It had epicyclic gears, a fully pressurized oil system, and Lanchester even pioneered early versions of disc brakes during this era. It was a masterclass in radical, uncompromising British engineering. Taking the bronze medal is the 1907 Austin 40 HP. Herbert Austin had spent years managing Wolseley, but after a massive fallout over engine designs, he walked out to start his own company in Longbridge. The 40 HP was Austin's flagship statement. It was huge, heavy, and powered by a massive 5.2-liter engine. This wasn't a budget runabout. It was a high-end touring machine designed to effortlessly cruise across continents. It established Austin as a premium automotive force long before they shifted to making affordable economy cars like the Austin 7. At number 2, we have royal luxury at its absolute finest, the 1908 Daimler TC46, featuring the legendary Knight engine. Standard engines of the 1900s were incredibly clicky and clattery, but Daimler adopted Charles Knight's sleeve valve engine design. Instead of standard valves tapping up and down, it used sliding sleeves to let fuel in and exhaust out. The result? A motor that ran in near total silence. It was so remarkably quiet and reliable that it became the official vehicle of choice for the British royal family. Could it really be anything else? Taking our number 1 spot is the undisputed masterpiece of the decade, the 1906 Rolls-Royce Silver Ghost. When Charles Rolls and Henry Royce teamed up in 1904, they had one goal: make the best automobile in the world. With the Silver Ghost, they succeeded. Named for its striking silver coachwork and its spooky, whisper-quiet operation, this car was an engineering marvel. In 1907, a Silver Ghost drove 14,371 miles continuously without a single mechanical breakdown, a feat that was utterly unthinkable at the time. It didn't just set a record, it permanently cemented Rolls-Royce as the gold standard of luxury and reliability worldwide. In just 10 years, the British motor industry went from primitive three-wheeled cargo boxes to building the most refined luxury cars on Earth. Which one of these Edwardian masterpieces would you want to take for a spin? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into automotive history, and we'll see you in the next video.